Before I get started really into this video, I thought it'd be a good idea for me to just go over why I'm making a bandpass filter. Well, if you're into low power operation like me, you might want to go up on some hills, and of course the highest points like mountains or ridges and things like that in the countryside, there's loads of masts, and they're commercial masts transmitting paging systems and all sorts of information, and they're normally high powered and they're sited on top of the hills to get the range. So when you go up with your little Chinese transceiver, you can find that the signals or the front end of the receiver is swamped, so it desensitizes your receiver for the band you want. So bandpass filter, what it does is it reduces all the unwanted signals and only concentrates on the band you want to use. So it reduces the unwanted signals completely, and if it's built right. So that's what I'm doing, is building this bandpass filter. And it's not my design, it's a design I found on the internet and on YouTube, and plenty of people built them with great results. I'm in the workshop garage, and this is part one of the bandpass filter. I cannot take credit for the design. It was designed by another radio ham, and I'll put links throughout my videos referring back to him. But what you do need is quite a few bits and pieces to make it, as you can imagine. You need some wire to make some coils like these, and that's should be 2.5mm wire. I haven't got 2.5mm wire, I've got 1.6mm wire. So whatever I'm trying to do with what's in my junk box and things like that. So I'm trying to make it from scraps, and that's why this bench is totally untidy. And what is needed is some metal discs to make capacitors, and there's two capacitors in the design, and they both go in each end of the coil. I'll show you the drawings and things as we go, but I thought about using washers, but the trouble is with washers, they're quite thick and heavy, and you really got to solder in the middle. But I'll use that as a pattern, because you need 4 discs about 32mm diameter. I come up with a brilliant idea, is to use this copper tape which I've got, which you can solder, and some bits of scrap plastic. And the idea is to cut some circles of plastic and then attach the copper tape and then solder it. I did try that without success, and it melted the middle, and then I cut it off the coil, and that's one made of plastic with the copper stuff on the top, and you can see they're a bit rough and ready, and I didn't like it at all really. I gave it away and gave up with the idea of the washers, apart from they can be used as a template. And so what I've come up with, I've got some old copper pipe, and I'll show you what I'm doing with it. And what I've done, I've cut it down with a hacksaw down there, and I'm hoping there's enough metal in here to be able to flatten it to make the capacitor washers. So what I've done, I've got the washer, which I know is the right size. I've marked it down. Okay, I've cut the copper down there. This is 15mm copper pipe. I'm going to cut it off, and then I'm going to hammer it flat, and hopefully I can make 2 copper discs for the capacitors. Okay, so I've cut the pipe down, cut it like that, and then using a pair of pliers I'm going to open it up, a pair of ordinary pliers, to try and make a flat piece of copper. So that's a piece of copper opened up a bit with my pliers, and get the hammer. Right, now this is 15mm copper pipe, and you can see I should be able to get a copper washer out of that. So how do I cut the copper? And that's quite easy. Don't know whether you can see, you put it in the vise, and so you're holding the washer as a reference against the copper, and using a pair of these snips you start cutting the bigger bits off like that, and then you can work your way around it, cutting smaller bits off, and then you take it out the vise and turn it round, but holding it tight so the washer doesn't move, and then you put it back in the vise. I've now moved it round and carrying on with the tin snips, I think you call these. You snip off the bits, and you can get quite close to the washer, like using a pair of scissors, like that. Is that coming out on camera? Hopefully it is. You can see it's taking shape, and you go all the way around. Now you can snip off quite small bits if you get it at the right angle, and it's getting almost to the right shape. Okay, it's almost the right shape now, and what you need to do is to file it to get all these sharp edges, and don't file it this way across because it will bend the copper, but leave the washer in place. You do it this way along the washer, and don't go too hard because you want the washer to still be there, but you want to take off the excess copper. Then you can take it out the vise, and you should have a copper washer. And what I do now, I go over the edges with the file and a piece of sandpaper, and so there's no sharp edges to cut my finger on, and then I hammer it in the vise again, on this bit, and so it's completely flat, and that'll be one of them done. Right, okay, so let's get rid of these plastic things. You can see they're grotty, horrible. And this is one of the washers. I've already made a couple, and there's the winding, and there's a copper washer on the end, and which will be the capacitors in the design, and this will move up and down with a metal rod. So that's that one done, and what I've got to do for the other winding, that's the other copper washer. Didn't make that so neat, and I've got to make another one for this capacitor, so that'll be the two capacitors. Can you see that? Yeah, I should be able to see that. And it's the same process I did. I've already cut the copper, I've got to saw it off, flatten it, cut the excess off, and then that'll make the other disc. And I found the easiest way to do it is to use this original washer, put it over the top and draw around, so I've got a smaller circle, and then it's easier to find the centre of that. I don't know if you can see that. There we go.